Hey, Sina.
Hey Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Well, firstly, thank you to everyone for joining us. Always nice to see so
Indeed.
many people. We've been getting some really good feedback on some of the stuff we've been doing recently, and lots of people seem to be enjoying it. So good to get back into the studio and have another chat. Um, I wanted
Most
to,
definitely.
well, yes, I wanted to talk to you today about something that our clients have been raising a bit, um, and get your sort of view on it because I know you're a lot closer to our clients. We've been hearing from quite a lot of people about efficiency, security, compliance, regulation. Um, Efficiency being the interesting bit because people have been talking about how they can sort of bring together their documentation, work in groups. But one of the things people have been talking about is collaborating with externals, which obviously brings its own set of security issues, all that kind of thing. So I was wondering, is that something you're hearing quite a bit from clients, or has that been something which has been a common thread for a while?
Yeah, I think so very much. As we are working as also expert in the area of document management, being able to collaborate with externals as well on in the document management area becomes super relevant. I think where we hear is the most is especially in the engineering industry and other parts where you have this like high amount of documentation needed, contracts, bids project works and so on for transmittals and different things, really having this need of collaborating with large amount of documents together with different vendors and suppliers to do that. So yeah, definitely something we hear.
And in terms of, as you say, engineering being it's a great example actually because there's so much documentation, so many regulations, compliance issues that touch the whole of the business as well. It's not just one side of it. Um, who are the most common sort of people you hear from in that sense?
So in that way, what we really see is that we see different needs in the industry in general. For this specific need of collaborations is very much the quality directors, the project managers who need to assemble these high amount of contracts or bid or etc. To work with these transmittals or other types of big engineering projects, and they have what I hear from them is that so they, like I would say, for many cases, you would have just kind of one party that you're collaborating with, being maybe a vendor and a client. And I guess that can be done in more simplified tool. But here we're talking about a large amount of documentation in different types of formats, all having to be created among several actors. So being the it could even be a public institutes. It can be like the actual transmittals. It can be the people working on the ground. It can be different project engineering part, architects, etc. Everyone who has some type of interest or relevance in these projects, and having one place to commonly collaborate and work to create these different assets. It's a quite high complex task when you talk about document collaboration, I would say.
Yeah, and I guess people will know we talk a lot about extended ECM. We have a real expertise sort of set there, but this sounds like it's not quite the same, right?
Yeah, so here we're talking about, just to be clear to everyone, that when we talk about extended ECM, which is, as you know, the open text product for document management, which when implemented at large, you would have all your documentation among your whole organization as part of one document central. Kind of look at it as a 3D model where you have several abilities to do workspaces, and within these workspaces you will give the right permission, have the right work groups, and in that way being able to really from an internal in your organization perspective work really well together, collaborate in between the different silos, breaking up the need of content there, working from the preferred application for each person. When we talk about what we are more addressing today, which is the product we call that is called open text call for Supplier Exchange. Here we're talking about how instead of which for most it's not a possibility opening up for the internal documentation and a document management tool. Here instead you're able to share actively in the SaaS product. So we're talking about quite an easy access, easy setup tool, and you're able to kind of use the same values that you're used to within your document management tool, but now able to, with the right permission and access to the right points, being able to work collaborative with your vendors and your suppliers on the different contracts, etc., that you will have a need to work on.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, if I think about what you just said there, that straight away made me think. So I wouldn't have to email, use FTP, WeTransfers, various chats, all of that goes away, right?
Exactly. You instead have a good place to really do this collaboration in a proper way, being able to track exactly, also in a process way, and in workflows exactly, has this right vendor put in the documentation that they need on their side for you to do your job. You can do several checkpoints. Yes, all this has come through. Now it's up for, let's say, 5 other instances to do some review on the documentation at their point of view simultaneously, and other groups doing the same part. And because it's live updated among the whole thing, and everything is synchronized, and you're able to work in totally different formats, you're able to really put together whatever the need is to send across and create, let's say, a contract that you have to fill in for big project or project work in general.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're saying things that we've been talking about for a while as well. I think this goes across. I know we said engineering, but it goes across a lot of industries, right? Because
Mm,
if I am beholden to regulation, and certainly if I think about financial services, some of those areas for the KYC process, I think that makes so much sense. That if you're onboarding, it's a great way to do it. You've got a central repository that all of your different departments can access, which, if I'm honest, is probably the biggest barrier we hear. Um, the amount of times we hear information in silos. So, uh,
exactly. And
yeah,
it comes with a high cost to have this amount of administration at these type of titles within a company, who really has to fast and efficiently work on these different bit and create it in a very secure way. We're also talking about documents that you cannot just share around randomly over Teams. Lots of it would have, especially in the engineering industry, and if you talk about transmittal or platforms and other things, it's super sensitive information. So there you also have to have the security layers in place. So having one place that really is suited for that industry and others who also have these needs, it's a very efficient way to come around it. And it does really kind of streamline the management of contractual deliverables and transmittals in a secure way.
yeah, I think we wrote an article which is probably really valid a while ago on audit trails within XECM. Now, obviously, I know this sits differently, but at the same time, I think it's an incredibly powerful thing, an audit trail, especially when you're
Totally.
checking in and reporting. Um, so I
Very
think,
much.
yeah, if we can add that kind of layer of security and that layer of safety across the top, then why would you not want to do that? I think
Exactly. And what we see is that we have a lot of clients, of course, working with our Extend DCM tool and having that as the proper document management tool across the board internally in the organization. And then comes a lot of the people in the organization who has a job where they really need to collaborate a lot with external partners, and they're not able to use that because of course, you don't want to just open up everything to someone from the outside. So instead of doing that, and you can easily add this tool in the cloud, and there be able to get same functionality as you're used to, kind of replicate that working together with that. So let's say you're collaborating on a document that's also reviewed internally in different parts of the organization and needs to have accessibility from those parts. They will always have the latest version as well. So even though you have an external person adding value to a document that you are not necessarily part of that external collaboration team, but from your internal access, you're able to see the latest and greatest version of that as well, which in these cases becomes super important.
that is my personal, from my experience with many companies, my personal annoyance is always the question of, do you know, is this the latest version of the contract? Because the second someone says, I don't know, you're in trouble, because then you've got to try and find it. And just knowing where it is, and we talked about efficiency, the idea of having this kind of confidence when you're working on something that I know I'm working on the latest version, or I know I've got the latest data. I know everyone can see it. I don't have to send it out to people. Therefore, I'm not missing anyone off an email chain. No one's out of the conversation, and that level of sort of enhanced administration with no IT lift. That sounds amazing. As a final quick point, you mentioned obviously you've got internally you may be using extended ECM to house a lot of that documentation. I am guessing, and I hope I'm right in thinking that at the end of a project in core for Supplier Exchange, you can directly replicate into ECM, right?
Yeah, they are fully connected. So
Amazing.
that's why if you work with different workspace within your extended ECM, you're now even able to take some of that, transform it into a use in an external case, where you can kind of withdraw some permissions and work with it on an actively way. So it will always be synchronized in that sense.
Amazing, because I think that's all of us want to get to a more automated state. You know, the things that are a problem, the more manual touches you have in any process, the higher the risk. So
Very much.
the more automation, the better. Awesome. Well, thank you,
Exactly.
Sina. I really appreciate it. I know
Thank
it's
you
been,
so much.
yeah, I know it's been quick, but I think this will be pretty good for a lot of people actually who probably are experiencing a few of the pain points we've discussed, but are looking for ways to address it. And as always, we always get lots of questions off the back of our videos. So if anyone does want to know a bit more, just let us know. We're very happy to talk about it. I think we might end up doing another video about this because I think we could probably go into quite a lot of detail.
Very much happy to hear what the crowd thinks about this. So please reach out to us, and thank you very much for listening. And thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much, Sina. I shall see
Thank
you very
you.
soon.
Yeah, see you. Thank you. Bye.